When you come onto the scene of an injured person, first you need to check, call, care. Check the scene for any dangers around you, why that person is unconscious or injured, and any other bystanders at the scene. Then you would check the person. You would try to wake them up by tapping on their shoulders and shouting into both ears. Are you okay? Are you okay? If they do not respond, you need to call 911 immediately. You can do this with a cell phone or send a bystander and tell them to come back to you as soon as possible. Once 911 is called, you would check to see if the person is breathing. You do this by doing a head tilt chin lift and a look, listen, feel. You would look at the chest to see if it's rising and falling, listen for breathing noises, and try to feel for their breath on their cheek. You would do this for no longer than 10 seconds, and if they are breathing, you would move on to the next step. As you will see in the notes, the next step is ask the sample questions. If the person is unconscious, you can't ask them the sample questions, but you can ask other people around them. If someone saw what happened or what the person was like before they went unconscious, this might be vital information for you to tell the arriving EMS. Then you would do a head-to-toe check to check for any other injuries. You would start at the top of their head and move your way down to the feet, checking for bleeding, bruises, broken bones, dislocations, and medical alert tags. You start at the top of the head, feeling the skull for any dips and bumps. You would feel the forehead, the cheeks, the nose, and the jaw for any broken bones or dislocations. You would check the back of the neck for any blood. Then you would check the shoulders for dislocations. You would do this by gently pulling them up. If one feels more loose than the other, or if one makes a sound like a crunch or a crack, then you would know it's dislocated. Then you would check the arms for any broken bones, dislocations, or bleeding. You would first do this by patting down the front of the arm, check for any broken bones, running your hand along underneath the arm to check for any blood, looking at the wrist and the hand for any bleeding or broken or dislocated or swollen fingers, and do the same with the other arm. Check for any broken bones or bumps, run your hands along the bottom to check for any bleeding, look at the wrist and the fingers in the hand for any swollen or cuts or bruises. You would not need to roll the person over to check for any bleeding underneath them, but you would want to check the sides of their bodies for any kind of blood. Make sure you're careful when doing this because they could be laying on something sharp like glass. Once you've done this, you can check the ribs to see if they are broken or cracked. You do this by gently squeezing in. If they're uneven on both sides, if you feel a crunch or you hear a pop, then you would know that they are broken. You can also look at the person's face while you're doing this. Even if they're unconscious, they may wince if you touch something that is hurting them. Then you would check the stomach for internal bleeding. Internal bleeding is either soft or hard. You will feel a soft area of the stomach or a very hard bump close underneath the skin. You'd want to do this by visibly splitting the stomach up into 4 quadrants and rolling your hand over each 4 of the quadrants. This gives you an even perception of any kind of lumps that could be underneath the skin. Then you would check the hips to see if they're dislocated. Just like the shoulders, you would take them up from either side, gently pull them up, and push them down. If they both move evenly, then you know that they are alright. If one is looser than the other, or if you hear a crunch or feel a pop, you would know that they're dislocated or broken. You check the legs for any broken bones or bleeding, just like the arms. You pat down the front of the leg, feeling for any bumps or swollen, tender areas, again looking at the face to see if it winds. Run your hand underneath the leg to check for any blood. Look at the ankle and the foot for any kind of swollen or broken bones. And the same thing for the other leg. Check for any lumps or bumps. Check for any blood. And examine the ankle or the foot. Medic alert tags come in 3 forms: anklets, bracelets or watches, and necklaces. You would want to check the body for these 3 areas. Once you are done, comfort the person, talk to them, and stay with them. If you have to leave, it might be a good idea to roll them into the recovery or the Haynes position, just in case they choke on their blood, saliva, or vomit.